Shut up and sit down.
Hello, Phantoms fans. Welcome to the Dump and Chase podcast. I'm Sam Olmstead.
And I'm Justin Irwin.
Let's do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 14 of the Dump and Chase podcast. This is a quick turnaround for us, and hopefully the quality doesn't suffer. But hey, we set low expectations, then fail to achieve them. My name is Sam Olmstead, and with me as always is, believe it or not, he was the inspiration for the song Gangsta's Paradise, Mr. Justin Irwin.
These are getting way too random. I don't even know where to go with that.
Hey, you try coming up with these every week.
Okay.
I think it would just start getting weird if I said nice stuff about you, so.
Oh yeah, that would be creepy.
Yeah, it would. So there you go. Okay, so we're going to jump right in. This past weekend, Phantoms win one, Phantoms drop one. The reigning Clark Cup champion Sioux Falls Stampede comes to town. Getting right into the game on Friday real quick. Phantoms lost 3-2 in overtime. The team was down 1-0 after one. At 4:18 of the second period, John Beaton, his sixth of the season, tied the game at 1. Going into the third, Sioux Falls goes up 2-1 about 4.5 minutes into the third. Roughly 3 minutes left in the third period. Josh DeLuca, his second of the season, tied the game at 2. Game goes to overtime. Gabe Temple for Sioux Falls got the game winner. It was his second of the game. Overall, shots on goal, Youngstown 31, Sioux Falls 23. Sioux Falls was 1 for 2 on the power play. Youngstown was 0 for 2 on the power play. And yeah, 1 for 2 and 0 for 2. It was a really tame game, penalty-wise, compared to what ended up happening on Saturday.
Yeah, a really tame game overall. We had the advantage in shots, but we just never really seemed to get the offense clicking. No energy, and just all around a very complacent team, and Sioux Falls managed to pull out the overtime win. A game we really should have got 2 points in, but left that one on the table.
But you had with that game, and then you had the same thing on Saturday. Thankfully, it continued through, but like about the first 10 minutes or so of the game on Friday, the Phantoms came out flying, just did everything short of actually putting the puck in the net.
Yeah. Friday, we definitely started well, came out with a lot of energy. We were all over them. A quick penalty, give up a goal on the power play off of that. And, just kind of never got rolling after that.
So getting to the game on Saturday, Phantoms won the game 4-2. Yeah, the first period, John Beaton, who's a name we've been hearing a lot lately. John Beaton, his 7th of the season, and even more miraculous enough, 18 games into the season, it was a shorthanded goal. It was the first shorthanded goal for Youngstown this year. So Phantoms end the first period up 1-0. 33 seconds into the second period, Matt Cassidy with his 5th, which is another name we've been hearing a lot lately. About 4 minutes later, Sioux Falls got a goal, cut the lead to 1. Phantoms were up 2-1 after 2. Phantoms go up 3-1 in the third. Trevor Kuntar, his 11th of the season on the power play, from just an incredible assist through the slot by Yusaku Ando. Sioux Falls cut the lead to 3-2. That was the closest they would get. Matt Cassidy, his second of the game, 6th of the season, scores an empty net goal there at the end of the game. Yeah, that one, shots on goal, Youngstown 29, Sioux Falls 20. Youngstown was 1 for 5 on the power play, Sioux Falls 0 for 7. So the Phantoms get 3 out of 4 possible points on the weekend. I mean, a good game for Youngstown, looked a lot better than Friday. Just penalties all over the place in that game. That was another one of those ones that were a little iffy as far as the team discipline was concerned. And even Coach Patterson said after the game that there would be ramifications for it on practice on Monday.
Yeah. Obviously special teams played a big role killing all those penalties. You had mentioned the shorthanded goal, which is something, I had been mentioning all season to you. It's like, have we gotten a shorthanded goal yet? I don't think we've gotten a shorthanded goal yet. Well, we got one.
Yeah.
So, that was a big lift for the team. Real great moment for that.
Well, in all fairness, the beginning of the season, the power plays for the other teams didn't last all that long, so not really, there wasn't much of an opportunity for Youngstown to get a shorthanded goal. So.
Yeah, we gave up a lot pretty much right off the face-off, so yeah, that is a very good point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I mean, there were still some issues outside of the penalties. I thought we could have been a little bit more aggressive on offense a couple of times. It seemed like, we wanted to make a pretty pass rather than really take it to them. I think we were trying to show off a little bit. It was a decent crowd, so...
Yeah.
That another thing I'd like to point out was that empty net goal. That was a thing of beauty, the way that was obviously drawn up, that bank pass off of the wall, and he is just down there straight at it, so that was obviously drawn up.
Yeah, that was Garrett Dahm.
Yeah.
Basically clearing the puck down the ice off the boards. Two Sioux Fall players chase after the puck. Meanwhile, Matt Cassidy just takes off right down dead center of the ice, and the puck just landed right on his tape. I mean, it was beautiful to watch.
And so much better than risking an icing.
Oh, absolutely.
If Dom shoots that from there, he's got, a 30% at best chance of hitting the net. And, otherwise it's an icing and another face-off in your own zone. And, how much that drives me crazy.
And one more thing I'll bring up from that game, talking about as far as team discipline, seems like it's been a little better lately, kind of took a step backwards on Saturday. But of all people, Josh DeLuca, and you know exactly what I'm talking, we had a real good laugh with this one. After the whistle, Sioux Falls player goes after Josh DeLuca, and he just kind of stood there and laughed at him. He threw his stick. He was looking to fight, and the amount of restraint that Josh DeLuca showed was very impressive. And this all happened maybe 15 feet in front of us.
Yeah. It was. I'm pretty sure that was in the third period. We're up. There is no reason for DeLuca to drop the mitts with this guy. There was no dirty hits. There was nothing. This guy is trying to goad him into a fight, to kind of try to swing the momentum, get his team fired up, and DeLuca just laughed in his face and skated off, and it was high fives all around.
Yeah, that was just incredible to watch. Yeah, so basically after that weekend, the Phantoms right now sit in 6th place in the Eastern Conference, that last playoff spot. Now, granted, we're a long way off from that, but just looking at the standings right now, 6th in the Eastern Conference. They're in a 3-way tie for 6th, but the standings have them in 6th. But right now, they're only 1 point behind Team USA for 3rd place. And Team USA is somebody we will be seeing on Wednesday. So, right there, the opportunity's there to kind of bump up a few notches in the standings.
And Friday is Green Bay, another team in that same position. So, yeah, it's kind of an interesting week for playoff standings. Still anybody's game, obviously, at this point of the season. But it's still kind of fun to try to, look at the playoff ladder and say, hey, if they were to start today, we'd be playing this team, and obviously every point counts in the end. So 2 really big games against teams that, we might be fighting for home ice advantage.
So there was one bit I wanted to take a look at over the past couple weeks. Kind of the Phantoms definitely playing a lot better than they had been, but still kind of having these 50-50 weekends. And I kind of had the thought last week I wanted to put numbers to it. The Phantoms have played 18 games so far this season. And obviously, at any level of hockey, or just hockey in general, it's that all-important first goal, who scores first. So just to put some numbers to it, Phantoms 18 games so far this season. In 9 of those, they have scored the first goal, and in 9 of them, they've given up the first goal. The 9 games they have scored first, the Phantoms are 6-1-2, and the 9 games that they have given up the first goal is 3-5-1. So giving up the first goal hasn't been terrible so far for this season, but it really shows how important it's been for the Phantoms this year to get that first goal.
That's one of those obvious stats, but It's obvious for a reason, because it does matter.
Yeah.
So, it's obvious. you kind of want to protect your goalie at the beginning of the game. That's, something I've harped on for years is, insulating your goalie early, let him ease into the game, get his feet under him, some confidence. You give up a goal early in the game, and that just, kind of sets the momentum.
And a couple other team notes that I wanted to bring up. A lot of the focus early in the season was the name I've now given it, the try line, Trevor Kuntar, Riley Funk, and Yusaku Ando. And for a while there, it seemed like that was the only line really producing. Well, now in the last few weeks, we're starting to see the emergence of the line of Jan Kern, John Beaton, and Matthew Cassidy. Just in the last 4 games alone, that line has combined for 3 goals and 6 assists. Just a quick editor's note, right there I meant to say 7 goals and 6 assists. Once again, we record this very late at night. I was extremely tired and couldn't even read my own handwriting. Also, at the beginning of the episode, I screwed up saying my own name and had to start over, so that's where we were recording this episode. Carry on. So, coming up to, a third of the way through the season, it's nice to see, the second scoring line for this team, really starting to emerge.
Obviously the other teams know at this point who, the top scorers are. They've seen the video, they know that Kuntar, Ando, Funk, and by the way, Try is probably way better than some of the alternatives we've thought up.
At least a lot more PG sounding than some of the others we came up with.
So obviously those guys are going to get keyed on. Other teams are going to try to match up. So if you don't get scoring from, second, third, fourth lines, you're not going to end up doing too well in this league.
And then one more point I wanted to bring up, and it's something that was really, a thorn in the team's side and a thorn in our side on this podcast was, of course, the penalty killing. Obviously, we've mentioned over the past couple weeks, it has gotten a lot better. When it wasn't so great, we put numbers to it to kind of showcase that. So, we'll put as far as how they're doing now, we'll put numbers to it to showcase how well it's been. Over the last 9 games, the Phantoms penalty kill is 39 for 42. That's 93%. That's a far cry from the, I believe, mid-70s percentage that it was at, about a month ago.
I remember at one point in time we were actually in the mid-60s. So, holy cow, seeing that kind of a number, really kind of puts an exclamation mark on the improvement. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, and then getting that shorthanded goal on Saturday, that just does nothing but help increase the confidence of the, of the penalty kill lines.
So, obviously, special teams is important throughout the season. Maybe we need to focus a little more of that mojo that we've worked on the penalty kill towards our power play now, but I think we'll cover that later on.
Well, speaking of the shorthand, I wanted to bring that up earlier, and I completely forgot about it. But yeah, I tweeted this out after the game on Saturday. The Phantoms, with the game on Saturday, they had scored goals, even strength, power play, shorthanded, and an empty net. Trevor Kuntar, it was Kuntar, correct? Had the penalty shot?
Yeah.
Trevor Kuntar had the penalty shot in that game, was not successful. So of the 5 ways you can score a goal in hockey, Youngstown, all 4 of their goals were 4 of those 5 ways, just missing that penalty shot for what's usually referred to as the Lemieux hat trick. So
when it takes a whole team to do what one man did.
Yeah, exactly. And he did it in the NHL.
Yeah.
So looking at this upcoming weekend, weekend, whatever you want to call it, the Phantoms 3 games in 4 days. They get a break on Thursday for Thanksgiving. Wednesday, they will be up in Plymouth against the under-18s again. This is what happens when Central Illinois drops out of the league. We get a couple extra games with them.
Yeah.
And you'll be going to that game, I believe.
Yeah, I got my tickets already.
So then on Friday, and that's the other joy of this, it's 3 games, 4 days, 3 different cities. On Friday, they'll be in Green Bay. Like you mentioned, a team that's above us in the standings, so, a chance to pick up some ground there with them. Green Bay, a team we haven't seen yet this season, so...
Yeah, a pretty decent Green Bay team this season. This will be a good matchup. If you have hockey TV, you'll want to tune in for that. And
then Saturday, we'll be heading to Madison, Wisconsin. Our second matchup of the season with the Capitals. The first, of course, was the 6-5 overtime loss, the Phantoms' home opener. Madison has only won 2 games this season. They have a total of 5 points this season. They are the worst team in the United States Hockey League, and 2 of those 5 points came from us, so I imagine there's going to be a little bit of a revenge factor when the team makes it to Madison on Saturday.
There had better be. So, yeah, and I would argue that they're Grant Adams away from being the second best team in the league. I think we both came to that conclusion last weekend that Sioux Falls is a pretty horrible team, and that goalie keeps them in it.
He was quite literally standing on his head. I mean, if not for that, the game on Friday, Trevor Kuntar would have had a hat trick in the first 5 minutes, if not for Grant Adams. So, I mean...
Madison doesn't have that.
And I would argue at the same time, the Phantoms are a much better team than they were the third game of the season. So I imagine it's going to be a little bit trickier for Madison to pull one out, but... I've been wrong before. My history of predictions on this podcast have been well documented and pathetic at the same time, so...
Yeah, well, I mean, they're at the end of a pretty brutal stretch, so that one might come down to who has gas left in the tank.
So that is going to wrap it up for this episode. A little bit more abbreviated than usual. Not much to go on. This is a very pretty quick turnaround for us. Once again, since this will come out before Thanksgiving, even though we did it in the last episode, once again, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And enjoy it, take the day off, stuff yourself full, gain 10 pounds, whatever makes you happy. And as always, thank you for listening to our nonsense. Without you, we would just be talking to ourselves, and that wouldn't be a podcast, that would be a disorder. So... So don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, drop a comment below. You can check us out and follow us on social media. Our links are in the description. And again, thanks for sticking around, and we will talk with you next week.
Alrighty. Yep. Happy Thanksgiving. Please don't talk politics at the dinner table.